During my time at the Kroc School of Peace Studies, while pursuing my master's in peace and justice, I had the opportunity to collaborate directly with Professor May Farid. Together, we wrote and published an academic article which came out last month in the Journal of Conflict, Security and Development. The article is called Does Development Mitigate Violence? The China Pakistan Economic Corridor and the Baloch Insurgency.
We have students at Kroc who want to establish a career in research, academia, or might go on to pursue PhDs. Remembering myself the struggle of figuring out academic research and publishing, I always offer to students that if this is something they want to pursue and drive forward, I'm willing to work with them and accompany them. It also gives students a good sense of what academic research is actually like so they can see if it's something they're suited to and enjoy. I had several students interested in pursuing this opportunity, and several of us got together in early 2024 to discuss possibilities.
From the beginning, I knew I wanted to pursue a PhD, and publishing was an important goal for me. The idea for our paper emerged in the first meeting in May 2024. By June, we had outlined the structure and divided the work: data analysis, theoretical framing, and historical context.
Researching, writing, and publishing an academic article is not easy, though, and takes significant commitment and time. In addition to that, I think two things really made Talha and my collaboration successful. The first is that he was able to identify a topic that's of interest to him and look at my work and expertise and find an overlap. This is harder than just latching on to a professor's existing research project or choosing your own topic and not considering any overlap or value add. Second, Talha drove the process forward. He maintained momentum and rhythm, which any academic doing research knows is probably the hardest part. We had weekly meetings and kept things moving forward steadily, never letting things drop, even in busy times.
Over the summer, we spent long days collecting data from the Uppsala Conflict Data Program, analyzing trends, and speaking with experts to ground our findings. Those conversations helped shape the argument around how centralized infrastructure led development can actually deepen conflict in ethnically marginalized regions.
And I was able to draw on my academic networks to identify specialists with area expertise or knowledge in our topic, and we arranged meetings with several of them who generously shared their feedback and helped us refine our argument. We were also thoughtful about identifying a good outlet for our research. We looked at a range of journals and had to think through what would be a good fit for our research, and then to tailor our paper to target that journal.
By January 2025, after months of revisions, edits, and theory refinement, we had a complete draft. We submitted the final version in February 2025, feeling both relief and pride. Looking back, the process was as much about discovery as discipline, turning a question into a contribution to peace and development scholarship.
The project itself speaks to a big question about what fosters peace. There's been a back and forth between a liberal peace model, or the idea that sustainable peace depends on democratization, rule of law, and politically inclusive institutions. And in response to some of the failures of that model, the pendulum has swung back towards another side, developmental peace model. The idea that peace and political stabilization can be achieved through sustained economic growth, infrastructure provision, and enhanced state capacity, integrating restive regions without major political reform. Developmental peace has become more prominent, particularly with the rise of new actors in international development, like China. But a whole range of actors are turning attention back towards material development and large-scale infrastructure projects. While liberal peace and developmental peace both provide insights, both models have major blind spots. Liberal peace can be externally defined, ideologically and institutionally rigid, and developmental peace can be overly technocratic, materially focused, and suffer legitimacy deficits. We wanted to look at what happens when efforts to foster peace through development are extended to conflict-affected regions, and studied the introduction of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor as a natural experiment, specifically its impact on the long-standing insurgency in Balochistan.
For decades, Pakistan's largest province, Balochistan, has lived through a paradox: a land rich in resources, poor in representation, and mired in insurgency. When China and Pakistan announced the China Pakistan Economic Corridor in 2015, it was celebrated as a game changer. a $60 billion promise of connectivity, growth, and peace. Roads, ports, and energy networks would link Pakistan's frontier regions to global trade routes. For many, it was a dream of development finally coming true. We analyzed over 700 violent incidents between 2004 and 2023. We found that attacks rose sharply in CPEC areas after 2015. This shows that development without legitimacy can backfire. Instead of reducing conflict, violence in Balochistan has actually intensified since CPEC began. Separatist attacks have increased, particularly around CPEC districts like Gabadar. The very projects meant to bring prosperity have become targets of anger and resistance. So, the main question of our research was, why did a program built for peace ignite more unrest?
We explored this question and found that the issue lies not in the idea of development itself, but in the way it is done. CPEC projects are actually part of a broader pattern we call centralized infrastructure-led development, a top-down model where governments and external actors design massive projects for energy, transport, or resource extraction. In theory, such projects promise economic transformation. In practice, we show that this form of development, when layered on pre-existing grievances, can depress legitimacy and fuel grievances. Yet our study doesn't end in despair. It offers a path forward, what we call collaborative governance arrangements. Such projects can incorporate capacity building, community co-production, and hybrid governance mechanisms, even in the absence of liberal institutions or major political reform. The idea is simple but powerful. Development must be with communities, not for them. When this happens, trust grows, grievances shrink, and peace becomes possible.
The lesson from Balochistan is clear. Peace cannot be built on concrete alone. Roads and ports may connect places, but only justice and participation connect people. True development is not just about what is built, but who it is built for. Writing this paper was more than just an academic exercise. It was truly shaped by our experience at the Kroc School. What stood out most was how closely the faculty works with students. The environment isn't hierarchical, it's deeply collaborative. Conversations that began in class turned out into long, thoughtful discussions about peace building, governance, and development. Professor May Farid played a transformative role. Her mentorship guided the paper and refined research itself. She guided us to bridge theory with grounded realities and to be patient with complexity. Her constant feedback, encouragement, and trust made the long months of writing and data analysis possible.
As a professor, the Kroc School enables me to have the freedom and support to pursue interests and opportunities. Having mental time and space to do that, having access to world-class students, to colleagues that I can go to for expertise on a topic, were all critical.
In many ways, this paper is a reflection of the Kroc spirit, rigorous, compassionate, and purpose driven. It reminded me that meaningful scholarship grows best in communities that care about both ideas and people.